Hello, this is a brief introduction to CAT tools for Tibetan translation. These are the subjects we're going to go through. So first of all, what is a CAT tool? CAT stands for Computer-Assisted Translation. So it's basically any application or program that helps you translate. Typically, a CAT tool will, as you work on a translation, it will create a memory in the form of translation memories, and then it will recall those translation memories in a useful way as you work on future translations. So I'll show you some diagrams, and then I'll give you an example of a actual CAT tool editor. So this is basically how the process works. You begin with, say, a sutra, and the CAT tool will break it down into either sentences or short phrases. And then individually, it will take each segment of those phrases and compare it to translation memories from all the translations you've done before. And those kind of three possibilities here. First, it may be a totally new phrase that has never been translated. So then the translator creates a translation, and then that's added to the translation memory bank for future use or future reference. It could be a very similar sentence to one that's been translated before. Say it's a 50% match or 70% match. Perhaps there's one term that's different, or it's a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. Perhaps it's the same sentence, but this is a different context or genre, and the translator might want to translate that phrase slightly differently for this context. In that case, the CAT tool will be able to find similar TMs and arrange them in order to the closest match to the least close match. And then the translator can modify, edit the sentence, and then that new segment is added to the TM memory bank. Now, sometimes it might be an exact match. Maybe it's a stock phrase like, "Thus have I heard." If the translator is happy with that translation, then they don't have to translate it again. They can just check it for accuracy and add it to their document. So it's a very efficient process and a helpful way to reference past translations and kind of assure accuracy and quality and consistency. So translation memories are stored in different file formats. The one we use, and a kind of typical one, is a TMX file. A TMX file is very simple. I'll show you an example of one. I'll just open it with a text editor. This is from Tohoku 83, the questions of Bhadrapala the merchant. As you can see in this text editor, it's basically just two segments matched up. And there's some metadata for the language, but basically it's just a Tibetan phrase and the matching English phrase broken down that way. And so you could even just search the TMX files with a text editor as a useful way to reference terms. But a CAT platform will arrange this in a useful and efficient way. And so to give you an example, I'm going to recommend a CAT platform called OmegaT. OmegaT is a open source platform. You can run it on Windows or Mac OS or on Linux. And it's very simple. This is what the editor looks like. On the left side, you have your source text. This is Tohoku 114 untranslated. And then it's broken down into segments. Here, I just broke it down. Whenever there was a shay, I told it to make a new segment. And then when you click on a segment, it shows you the source and the translation. And then on this right side in these two windows, it shows you any fuzzy matches. So this is showing one fuzzy match that says in the language of Tibet. It's a 55% match. Notice in the source document here, it says in the language of India, Gakar Getu, whereas here it's per Getu, so it's matching that segment. But if I pick one that's been like a stock phrase, you'll see 100% match from all these other different texts. Where this comes in really handy is if there's a similar sentence. For instance, this tapkepa, if I click on that, notice I found from Toku 86, there is a phrase tapla kepa yin. So the OmegaT was able to find this phrase even though it had these additional particles and final verb in the segment. And then in this lower right window, it shows you any terms matched in a glossary database are matched. So this is I linked OmegaT to 84,000's cumulative glossary, and so all of the glossary terms along with their metadata are displayed in this lower right. For Kepa, it finds Kepa as Pandita, and it finds Tap as liberative art or skillful means. And if I choose another one, for instance, this segment, it finds non-attachment, Sin, Yeshe, and so forth. So that's very useful. And then we've also, this is the platform that I'm recommending, and in the future videos I'm going to step you through the process of setting up OmegaT and how to link some TMX files that we've already created. We've created about 30-some TMX files from published 84,000 texts, and we also have the glossary, as I mentioned, and I'll show you how to set that up. But I also would like to point you out to the translation memory search tool. This is on the translator tools page. You can get to it from the navigation window on the upper right. And this is linked to both the glossary and to all the TMX files as well. So if I search for a common term like Yelwa, it's going to first show me all of the glossary matches. So I'll see various ways they've been translated in all the texts or in other glossary entries like certain people like Tsochum Gyalwa or Gyalwa Dzin, Banner of Victory, and so forth. I'll show you an example of why this is useful for searching the translation memories. I was just working on a text and came across this term, Nzuchu Gichochu. So this is a special type of magical display, or chochu. And then in an online dictionary, I found that this matches up for the Sanskrit Riddhi Pratihara. But I'd like to see it in some context, maybe, like how does this show up in a typical sentence, so I can kind of better understand how it's used in different genres and contexts. So I'll search the Tibetan here, and it shows several different matches. So these are all segments from TMs from various texts. Here's one from the King of Samadhi Sutra. So Tela Zochu Gichochu Kang Shena. And so yeah, I get a lot of different examples. Right here where it's a little jumbled up, you can fix that by just expanding the window. And then if you click on the link on the right, it will take you directly to that text. and it should take you directly to that milestone. And then you can see that exact how that phrase was used at that milestone at 7:32. So that's very handy. So thanks for checking this out. As we continue, I'm going to go in more detail for how to use OmegaT. So talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.